please consult with a qualified professional for any investment or financial advice. Does it feel like traveling always breaks the bank? We share strategies that can bring more intention to your next vacation. And later, we sit down with an expert to break down the real value of travel insurance. All this and more today on Pay That Bill. This is Pay That Bill, a podcast from your friends at Virginia Credit Union. I'm Sabrina, an educator here at the credit union. If you're new to the show, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. Today, I'm sitting here with Monica. Hey, Monica.
How you doing, Sabrina?
Doing good. Super excited to have you back. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be back.
So we have to ask, and you know how it goes. What bill did you pay this week?
Oh, well, vacation season is upon us.
Thank goodness.
And I have been putting money towards my travel savings account systematically every month, and I'm about to pull the ripcord and book a beach vacation.
That's especially after all of the winter weather that we have experienced this winter. I bet you are looking forward to that.
Oh, I can't wait. It's time. And I think many people out there are feeling the same way. It's time for a vacation.
So, traveling and vacation can seem like it breaks the bank. But there's opportunities like rewards, opportunities for upsells, the pressure of going on expensive trips. Things can really add up quickly, right? You've asked about this, our viewers and our listeners, so we wanted to talk about the ins and outs of planning and paying for travel, and having some intention behind it as well. So we're going to start with a few questions that we've gotten about this. And hey, as always, if you have questions about money goals, paying bills, send them to us. You can send them to paythatbill@vacu.org. So my first question for you, Monica, why does vacationing seem like it costs an arm and a leg?
Well, because sometimes it can.
Yeah.
It can if you aren't really thinking about what you're doing with your vacation. What do you want to get out of it?
Right.
Are you vacationing for relaxation? Are you vacationing for adventure, culture, experience? And so sometimes, and you have you ever left a vacation and been like, oh, well, that wasn't exactly worth it?
Yes, I have.
And I think many people have had that situation. And that's the reason it cost an arm and a leg, is because we aren't providing ourselves boundaries and really thinking about that cost benefit.
Right.
Of, hey, I'm taking this precious vacation time. How can I maximize it? And it's easy to start wanting to live large and getting a little bit out of our budget,
right,
to where at the end of the vacation we can go, oh, that really did cost an arm and a leg, and put us in a vulnerable position.
So it's like that planning ahead of time, whether it's booking the trip, whether it's the activities and the things that we're doing while on the trip. Sometimes it's even like when we get back from the trip. I found myself guilty of going on a vacation, and I get back, I'm like, oh, I got to get groceries. I got to do this. So let's just continue to eat out for a few days. And that still, I think, to me, lingers into the budget even after the fact. So when we think about the finances behind planning and paying for traveling, what are some things that I should take into consideration before and during the trip?
Well, in the planning phase, first and foremost, go ahead and start yourself. I mentioned earlier, I have a travel savings account.
Mm-hmm.
So I systematically put money towards that account. I know that I'm going to use it for something at some point. Now, when it comes to traveling, I always like to talk to the people that I'm going to be traveling with.
Yes.
And ask them, what are they hoping to get out of the travel experience? What am I hoping to get out of the travel experience? And keeping it all on the same page, and making sure everybody's benefiting from, the days off and the money that we've saved and really maximizing it. And then when you get into that planning phase, you have to take everything into account. And that's often an oversight, thinking about, what's the best way for us to get there? Planes, trains,
Driving.
automobiles, and is it a rental? And once we get there, how much is it going to cost for us to travel and get around? Are we able to go by foot? Everybody in the party, or so really thinking about cost of travel, cost of food, cost of lodging, and cost of excursions,
Right.
cost of souvenirs. All of those things can really add up. And if they're not taken into consideration and really weighed on what's the most important piece, and kind of going, hey, I don't, you mentioned eating out. I don't want to cook. So we need to budget to go out every night.
Yeah.
Or hey, maybe, are you really going to be spending most of your time in a hotel room? Do you need to buy the 5-star luxury hotel room, or if you're going to be out all day? So kind of
Those
thinking
pros and cons.
through what you want to experience and what you're going to, making the most of your money is important in that planning period.
I liked how you mentioned the communication and the intention behind it. I've traveled with friends, I've traveled with my spouse and with family. And sometimes when we don't communicate those things, that can cause unnecessary stress during the trip. The last trip that we went to was Miami. And one of the things that I'm pretty sure we could have done a little bit better research on was just kind of like the cost of eating out. We knew that we were going to have to pay to eat out, but just the type of dining establishments that was close by, the fact that tip is automatically included and sometimes they don't tell you, so now you're paying double in certain areas. So doing your research and communicating, like you mentioned, like what is the experience that we want to get out of it and how much we're willing to pay in those areas, because sometimes it might be worth to splurge.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, when you're traveling, or when you're vacationing specifically, you don't want to limit yourself, but you do want to maximize it so that way you're not leaving the experience with remorse or regret or any of those nasty things. You want your vacation to feel good. You've worked hard so that you could do it. I will say one of a really great tool that I've suggested with many of my friends and people I've worked with is using AI.
Okay.
Lean into it. Say, hey, I have a budget of this much. What can I do with it? And my mom and I last year we went on a really big trip to Laos. And she has a specific diet. And I used AI to figure out like restaurants in where we were going that would also cater to her specific diet and within our budget.
That's awesome.
And so that really helped out. And so using the tools, do that research ahead of time. And so that way you're not, you don't easily give in to the vacation financial pressures of doing it all and living large.
So from a financial standpoint, how can we put more intention behind the paying for while we're on our trips, whether it's a vacation, maybe it's just a work trip? Like, how can we really put more thought and planning behind it so we don't have that, oh, I probably shouldn't have spent money on that, or that strain that we feel sometimes in our budgets after the fact that we've come home?
I think transparency and communication and really like spelling out the experience that everybody wants to get out of it is important. The automatic payments to your savings is important, but even within the planning, if you're sharing a vacation experience with other people, break down how much each room is going to cost. Break down the food. How are we going to manage the food? Have an open line of communication. 2 of my cousins and I go on a vacation with our families, and it's great for building memories.
That's awesome.
But we also know that sometimes it can be a little stressful with all the kids. And so we go ahead and we talk about the foods, and each of us has a different night that we are on food duty.
Okay.
And the other 2, they have that night off. And so we make sure that we give each other that gift of relaxation. And it's planned out in advance.
Okay.
And so that's a great way to make sure you're maximizing and planning vacation.
Yeah, I like how, we can find ways to kind of not necessarily completely take our real life, if you will, off the table. You said cooking, and I know a couple of friends of ours like to do Airbnbs because in their experience, it has been a little bit more affordable or accessible. Myself, I like a hotel. I don't want to have to clean and do the dishes. Like, I want to completely be hands off. So when it comes to a cost perspective, is it worth maybe splurging in some areas, or like how do we navigate maybe using our credit card points, or how do we make our everyday purchases or everyday decisions gear towards a better way to plan for that?
I think that it is important to splurge when it matters.
Okay.
It is vacation, as long as you're prepared for it.
Okay.
In the situation, for example, my honeymoon, we were going on a vacation. We're like, do we do all inclusive? And we knew it was going to be more expensive, but sure, do the all inclusive. Another situation, we went to Disney World and we said, you know what? We're going to pay more to be right on the monorail.
Okay.
To have that experience rather than have to worry about travel, because it was worth the peace of mind was worth it. Now, what you have to be careful for is financing that on your credit card. That luxury and that big moment in vacation of putting something on your credit card can be worth it, but make sure it's not that you can pay it off.
Right.
As we say, pay that bill, and pay it off quickly, because you don't want to have to come home after vacation and feel indebted and feel like you wish you hadn't done something maybe you had. So weighing the pros and cons helps.
Yeah, I like the thought of like not necessarily just leaning into like being all inclusive or the ability to splurge on stuff, but like it's kind of a give and take. So I might cut back on maybe buying souvenirs for families and friends. Like, that's something that I've done. I'm like, do I really need to buy everyone something? That's another line item in the budget. Maybe I'll buy, my parents something because they've more than likely babysat my dog. My best friend and I, we only exchange magnets because it's small. It's something inexpensive.
I love a magnet.
It's something that you can incorporate and say, hey, I remember when we went to here or there or whatnot. Because when we are in those moments and we want to enjoy the time that we have away from like our everyday life, I think sometimes we often lose sight of this is still a financial burden that we are, or a financial decision more so rather than that we have to make. So how can we put that thought behind making smarter and more aware financial decisions, even though we are in the moment on vacation while we're traveling?
I think a big part of that moderation that you're talking about and making sure that you don't overdo it comes with planning. If you set the plan up front and you say, you know what, I am going to put this line item in the budget for souvenirs, and I'm going to put this line item in the budget for excursions, and even giving yourself a discretionary line item. So that way, in the case of something happening and you're like, oh, I really want to do this, it's already there and it's not going to break the bank.
Right. And I'm the type of person that like when I go somewhere, I do the research ahead of time. Like I kind of have an idea of how much the cost of living is, because you can kind of think through like, if we're going to a major touristy area, things are going to more likely cost more money. Like we went to Vegas a few years ago and a bottle of Gatorade was like $20 at the resort. So you go in expecting to pay a lot more than what you probably would pay for it at home. So with those thought processes up front, I like how you mentioned like have that discretionary thing, the money that's there to say like, hey, I didn't think that this was going to come up, but I kind of want to take advantage of that, and pre-planning that and giving yourself those boundaries in your budget so that you can necessarily relax and then not have to worry about that financial regret afterward.
A little cushion.
Yeah.
A little cushion.
Speaking of cushion and having that peace of mind, travel insurance. Briefly, I want to get your thoughts. Is it a ripoff or is it worth it?
Oh, travel insurance. It really depends.
Okay.
It depends. We're all different, and our vacations are different. And so something that might not be as large of an expense might not warrant travel insurance. But sometimes travel insurance is really a good thing to have to protect yourself in the case of those unexpected things happening. And it could be anything. We get sick. We live on the East Coast. Storms come in, that all of a sudden can put the vacation plans we had at a halt. Mm-hmm. Anytime with insurance, though, it's important to read the contract.
Yes.
And make the decision with your party and everybody involved and whether or not it's really worth it.
So, as always, it could depend. We wanted to take a moment and pause because this is a great topic that we wanted to dive into, but we want to dive into it in a new segment to our show, and it's called What the Heck Is That? But before I send it over to Jim for our new segment of our podcast, I want to say thank you for sitting down and chatting with me, and I hope that we can all go on a nice vacation here soon.
Ready for it. Thanks, Sabrina.
Thanks, Monica.
Tell me if this sounds familiar. You just booked a flight or maybe a hotel room. And right before you actually check out, a little box pops up asking, do you want to buy travel insurance? A million zillion people have protected their trips. And then they try to make you second guess yourself with a no thank you button that says something absurd like, I refuse to protect my trip. I live dangerously. I'll admit it always makes me pause and wonder, should I actually be buying this? And what even counts as travel insurance? So I finally got curious enough to do some research and answer the question that's probably crossed your mind at least once. What the heck is travel insurance?
Long story short, it protects the money you can't afford to lose if life interrupts your trip.
That's Mel Miller. She's an IATA-verified independent travel consultant and advisor. She's helped me wrap my head around a lot of this stuff.
It's really not about expecting something to go wrong. It's about protecting your financial investment if something unexpected happens. Illness, weather disruptions, cancellations, medical emergencies, or even lost luggage.
So, big picture, travel insurance is basically a bundle of safety nets for two big things. The money you've already paid for your trip and your health and safety while you're away from home. That's the general structure described by the U.S. Travel Insurance Association, and it helped me make sense of why this stuff keeps popping up everywhere.
When people regret not purchasing travel insurance, it's usually when something happens after they've already departed. A medical emergency overseas, a family emergency back home that forces an early return, a misconnection that causes them to miss the start of a cruise or a tour. At that point, they're not just losing a deposit, they're dealing with real-time expenses in an unfamiliar place, often under stress.
So, one of the first things I wondered was whether travel insurance actually reimburses you if something unexpected forces you to cancel. And spoiler, of course it does, as long as the reason is one the policy specifically lists. That's how most comprehensive plans work, according to industry guidance.
People say, I've never had to cancel before, and that's really great. But insurance isn't about your track record. It's about that one time something outside your control happens. Healthy people get sick, for example. When someone's on the fence about travel insurance, I always suggest they ask themselves, if I had to cancel tomorrow, would I be financially comfortable losing this entire trip investment?
All the talk of reimbursements and coverage started sounding a lot like good old health insurance jargon. And that's when I got curious about the medical part of travel insurance. I always assumed my regular health insurance would just follow me around the world, but the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention makes it clear that many U.S. health plans don't even cover routine care overseas, and Medicare generally doesn't cover care outside of the United States at all. And on top of that, the U.S. State Department is very clear that the U.S. government won't pay your hospital bills abroad, even in an emergency. How about that?
Many U.S. insurance plans provide limited or no coverage internationally, and medical evacuation from a remote destination can be really expensive. Those are scenarios people don't think about until facing them.
The State Department points out that getting transported to an appropriate medical facility or flown back home can cost a whole lot of money depending on where you are. So after that, I started checking out the baggage side of things. Of course, airlines will help in whatever way they choose to, but the U.S. Department of Transportation sets limits on how much they're required to reimburse you for lost or delayed luggage. Travel insurance can help fill in those gaps and sometimes even cover essentials like food or lodging if you're stuck without your stuff.
Flights get canceled all of the time. Parents have emergencies. Storms roll in. Travel insurance isn't about pessimism. It's about acknowledging that travel involves variables.
So, with all that said, the very common question of, is travel insurance worth it, can now be answered. That answer being, it depends. It is definitely worth it in situations where you're doing a lot of stuff you can't get refunded for. Think tours, specialty cruises, and so on. It's also worth it when your trip's itinerary has a lot of tight connections or a bunch of checked luggage. And, of course, it's worth it when traveling internationally or to a remote destination, or getting to an appropriate medical facility can be costly. If you have any pre-existing conditions or are pregnant while traveling, it's something you may want to consider too.
It's pretty simple. If a covered reason prevents you from traveling, you can be reimbursed for your prepaid, non-refundable costs. In practice, that means you get sick before departure, as an example. A doctor advises you not to travel. You cancel your trip. You provide documentation. The insurance reimburses the portion you couldn't recover from the airline, the cruise line, or the tour operator. Really what it does is it fills the financial gap between the refundable and what you'd otherwise lose.
Nice. Now you have an idea of what the heck travel insurance is and how to decide if it's worth it for your trip. So you should just buy it at checkout, right? Oh, well, pump the brakes for a second there. Travel insurance works like auto or health insurance. You can shop around for a plan that fits your trip. So clicking that passive-aggressive no button during checkout isn't really the end of the world. And when you're comparing plans, there are a few things worth keeping in your back pocket. Let's start with the basics. Match the coverage to the trip. Pro tip: if you're heading overseas, the State Department actually recommends making sure you've got real medical coverage and strong evacuation coverage, not just the bare bones stuff. Pro tip: buy a plan early so you can unlock any extra perks, like cancel for any reason upgrades, that'll disappear the longer you wait.
Expedition and high investment travel immediately come to mind. And Antarctica is a perfect example. I'm taking a group of 30 travelers to Antarctica on expedition cruise in 2027. This isn't a refundable long weekend. It's a major financial investment booked far in advance with strict cancellation policies, international flights, charter connections, and weather-dependent logistics. On this trip, I will highly recommend to cancel for any reason protection. Not because we expect something dramatic, but because life does happen. A family situation changes, a job shift occurs, a training injury pops up. With a remote bucket list expedition like Antarctica, the evacuation costs alone could exceed 6 figures. On trips like that, insurance isn't an add-on, it's part of the trip strategy.
Pro tip: take a peek at your credit card benefits, because some cards quietly have bits of travel protection that can save you money if you know they're there.
Some cards may include trip delay reimbursement, lost luggage protection, rental car collision coverage, limited cancellation or interruption benefits. Those can be valuable layers of protection, especially on shorter trips.
And no matter what you end up choosing, hang on to your receipts, airline notices, medical records, basically anything tied to your trip, because future you will be very grateful if and when it's time to file a claim.
When travel insurance claims go smoothly, they have one thing in common: strong documentation. Insurance companies don't operate on emotion, they operate on documentation.
So hey, just like that, you're ready to plan your next big trip with peace of mind, because you now know what the heck travel insurance is.
Pay That Bill is a podcast designed to entertain and, more importantly, educate. The show is produced by Virginia Credit Union and is developed alongside our award-winning financial education team. We have a library full of free resources available online that can help you on your journey to financial success. If you want to learn more about what we talked about today, check out the links we have in the description of this episode. The information provided in Pay That Bill is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. While we aim to share helpful insights and general strategies, every listener's financial situation is unique. Please consult with a qualified professional for any investment or financial advice. The host and guests of this podcast are not responsible for any outcomes resulting from actions taken based on the content discussed.